Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another segment of Magical Moments Storytime. And today I'm your host, Miss Debbie, and today I'll be reading a book that was read to me when I was a little girl. And it's a classic story because it teaches us so many different values here. So, are you ready? I've actually shared from this book before. It's called 5 Minute Stories. Over 30 tales and fables to share. Can you imagine having 30 stories in one book? And that's why I love this book. And I loved reading it to my little boy when he was younger. He's reading books that are for bigger boys now. But these have always been classics that I loved so much. And today, from this beautiful book, I will be reading the story of the tortoise and the hare. Have you ever had that one read to you? Or have you read that story? What did you think of it? Post below and let me know if you've heard of that story before. So I bet your moms and dads have read this story in the past. So I will begin. I've actually read from this book before. What did I read? It was a gingerbread man. Do you remember that story? I loved doing that one. So let's see who has done this story. So in this book, The Tortoise and the Hare is retold by Anne Rooney, and it's been illustrated by Sean Julian. So here's the story. The Tortoise and the Hare. Can you see the tortoise just over here? There he is. And we've got the hare running up ahead of the tortoise. So this one, I'll be reading more than showing you the illustrations this week. The hare and the tortoise were neighbors. Hare was always in a hurry, rushing from one important task to another. He was so fast and busy that sometimes he could barely remember where he was going. Imagine that. Tortoise, on the other hand, plodded steadily along. He didn't go too many different places in a day, but he always got where he needed to be. Which one do you think you are? Are you fast like the hare and you do so much during the day, or are you steady like the tortoise, taking your time to achieve whatever it is you need to? I think I'm a bit of both. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm a mixture of the tortoise and the hare. Sometimes I'm hurrying along and doing things, and other times I'm doing it slow and steady. Do what works for you. One day, Tortoise was walking slowly along the road when Hare sped past him. Hare looked over his shoulder and called out, "Hurry up, Tortoise! You'll never get there." "I will," Tortoise said calmly. "I will, slow but steady." Hare turned back, ran around Tortoise 3 times, laughing. Then he ran on. Half an hour later, Hare came back. Tortoise was still going in the same direction, and he hadn't got very far. Hare laughed. "You're so slow," he said. "How do you ever get anywhere?" "Look," Tortoise said. "One step at a time, one foot after the other, slow but steady." "You're hopeless," Hare said. "It will take you all day just to get to the end of the road." At last, Tortoise was too cross to ignore Hare any longer. "I get everywhere I want to go, he said. And if you don't believe me, I'll challenge you to a race. You can pick the route, the day, and the time. Hare laughed until he fell over. He rolled around on the floor, tears running down his whiskers. A race? He gasped. Between you and me? That's ridiculous. You don't stand a chance. Are you scared? Tortoise asked. Because if not, let's do it. And then there's the other picture. Everyone's getting ready. I'll show you that again in a moment. Hare could hardly stop laughing, but they arranged to race for the next day and asked Fox to judge it. It would start from an old oak tree and race all the way to the river. Tortoise set out early that evening so that he could be at the start line on time in the morning. Hare went home for a long sleep and got up late. He ran to the oak tree and found Tortoise ready and waiting. All the other animals had come to watch. So that's all the animals that have come. They've turned up to also watch. Can you see the start line? And there's everyone there. There's the tortoise, just here. And the hare's racing off, and the signs say start and to the river. Fox is waiting for you at the river, Hare said. We can start whenever you're ready. Hare and Tortoise got into position. On your marks, said Tortoise. Get set, said Hare. Go, shouted all the animals, and off went the tortoise and the hare. Hare sprinted ahead, bounding along the path. Tortoise lifted one foot and put it down, and then lifted another foot and put it down, slowly, slowly. By the time Tortoise reached the first bush, Hare was a tiny spot in the distance. By the time he reached the second bush, Hare was nowhere to be seen. After a few minutes, Hare could see the river ahead. He paused and looked around. He couldn't see Tortoise at all. He is so slow, he laughed to himself. He won't be here for hours. I might as well have a rest. So Hare sat down under the tree, not far from the finish line. The sun was warm and the lazy buzz of bees visiting the flowers around him was soothing. Soon, Hare dozed off. Can you believe he fell asleep? And he's in a race. Back along the path, Tortoise carried on, slow but steady. One step at a time, one foot after the other. So they're there again at the start. And Tortoise heading off to the river. He's so fast, isn't he? And then here we go, a little sneak peek. I'm not going to give too much away. After an hour, Hare woke up and peered into the distance. He could just see Tortoise coming towards him, slow but steady, and still far away. He's so slow, Hare said to himself. He won't be here for hours. I might as well go back to sleep. And that's just what he did. Tortoise carried on, slow but steady, his heavy shell wobbling along the path. Hare slept on in the hot sun. When Hare woke up, he couldn't see Tortoise anywhere. "Where has he got to?" he said. "He won't be here for hours, I'm sure. I could just go back to sleep." But it was late afternoon and the sun was low in the sky. "I'm sick of this race," he said to himself. "I should finish so I can go home and nap in my own bed." And he sprang up and ran as fast as he could to the finish line. Tortoise was waiting for him by the river. "Where have you been?" asked Tortoise. "I've been here for hours. You are so slow." I bet you Hare didn't think he was slow. Hare tried to explain, but neither Tortoise nor Fox would listen. "But I'm faster," Hare complained. "It's not fair. The rules were simple," Fox said. Tortoise won. The race was to get Hare first, Tortoise smiled, not to run fastest. Slow and steady wins the race. And slowly, steadily, he turned around and began his journey home. The end. And Hare, can you see? And look at Hare in the distance, fast asleep. And there's Tortoise and Fox at the finish line. Tortoise won the race. There's so many different lessons from this story, and that's why I love it so much, because it shows that although the hare was so fast, he took a rest, and he took a very long rest, and the tortoise was so slow, and I'm sure he expected to lose the race himself, but he didn't, because he was slow and steady and he got the race completed, while the tortoise thought he was too quick and he would never be beaten. So the next time you are rushing around doing things, take a moment and slow down a little bit. Just take things slow and steady and see how you like it. So thank you so much for joining me for another magical moment story time. I have thoroughly enjoyed reading this book, 5 Minute Stories, with you, and reading The Tortoise and the Hare. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to subscribe. Remember to leave a comment below and let us know what you think about the book. I would love to know, what are your favorite books? And is there a book you would like me to read for you? Or better yet, are you an author with your own book? Would you like to be a guest reader on our channel? We would love to hear from you if you'd like to share your story with us. So please leave a comment below, find us on our social media platforms, and let us know that you're interested, and we'll be in touch with you. We look forward to next week when we connect with you again. Until then, good night, little ones.